Yeah, it's time to start the show, everybody. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yeah, welcome. So it's great to have you, Amber, Stephen, Harriet. So nice to see you all.
Morning.
Uh, well, um, I have I've made myself a checklist of all the things that I would really like to do today. So I'm so excited to get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll do these announcements first. So that way, and keep the energy going, and hopefully we keep having people show up. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Elise just showed up. That's great to have you.
oh,
So,
awesome.
Good
all right. So
morning.
let me do these morning. Let me do these announcements right quick, and we'll get on with the show. So, good morning and welcome to Reinventing the Tattoo and the Reinventing the Tattoo community. This is Drawing for Tattooers. I'm James Wisdom, your host. And this Reinventing the Tattoo community is, of course, inspired by Guy Aitchison. So big thanks to Guy Aitchison. And we want to invite tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and curious to join into these live stream and real world events. Our goal is to ultimately create better tattoos and art together. We beam out nearly every single day, and with your help, we've become a quality network of on-demand shows. We've been receiving rave reviews, so keep those comments coming. We appreciate all of your constructive feedback. All right, so you can find Reinventing the Tattoo at the App Store, the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, Facebook, and Roku. That's reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku. But wherever you find us, you can always find the latest and greatest on reinventingthetattoo.com. We have a number of weekly staple shows. Beginning Sundays at 1 p.m., we have the Skill Building Drawing Group with Jason Leeser. On Mondays at 9 a.m., we have Drawing for Tattooers. That's this show. You've made it. That's followed at 11 a.m. on Monday with the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks, and Gabe Ripley. At 5 p.m. on Mondays, we have Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple. At 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the subscribers exclusive drawing group led by Guy Aitchison. On Tuesdays, at 10 a.m., we have the Tuesday Feels drawing group hosted by Ricardo Sturdivant. Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Tattoo Now show. And Thursdays at 6 p.m., the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast hosted by Fawn Baker. So I think we can, let me go here and yeah, I could share my screen so we can see the reinventing page. Excellent. Right. So this is the Reinventing the Tattoo homepage, so make sure to check it out. And there's so much content here. And of course, links to find all of these great shows we've been talking about. And then if you would like to zoom in to these shows, you can find that here at the event schedule. Let's take a moment and thank our sponsors. Tattoo Now, tattoonow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in professional development management and professional tools for artists of all levels. They have upgrades and CRM software, so be sure to check out tattoonow.com. And then, of course, again, a big thank you to Guy Aitchison. You can learn more about Guy Aitchison at guyaitchison.com, where you can find original paintings, prints, as well as tattoo educational content and tattoo machines, including the Biomech Encyclopedia. Very cool book. So I definitely make sure to check it out. It's that time of the year, so get yourself a gift or give it for the artist in your life. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. And so, on that note, morning, gang. Thanks for that.
What's happening? Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. And good morning to Kyle and Creature in the chats. I see you.
Oh,
Kyle and Creature, good morning.
yes, good morning to everybody. I'm gonna get my YouTube up so I can try to keep up with the chat a little bit. Yeah. Kyle and Creature, good morning. Yeah. I'll try to keep up with the chat. It's so many screens.
I know.
It can be a lot, you know what I mean? But it's amazing how connected we are, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to add one more screen to this little setup I got going.
Yeah.
So you can actually see what I'm working on during some of the podcasts.
Do you have an iPad?
I have a tablet.
Okay. If you can maybe download Zoom to it, that might work.
Yeah, I have that done. I'm just trying to figure out how to mount it now.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking about mounting it on with some rubber bands on my overhead tattoo light. If it's not too heavy.
Word. That's cool.
There's all kinds of like I got one right here, this weird contraption. It's like it holds the phone and it's like a little light on it and stuff so I can look pretty. But there's all kinds of, there's all kinds of like holders and stuff like that some of them are pretty affordable, but I mean it's got your precious device in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you
I
want to be
be able to
careful.
mount it and make sure it's not going to drop. It's already got a crack in it. I don't need another one.
Oh.
Wow, I hate that. I hate that for you.
My friend, his phone dropped out of his pocket. Even he was sitting down, he was doing a tattoo, but it fell out of his pocket like 2 feet to the floor, cracked in half. Just he was able to get it fixed, thank goodness. But I mean, it was like
in half. Dear God.
It just had. I mean, he had a case. It was it was a little bit thin, but it's the screen cracked, like you know what I mean, just ruined it. Like he couldn't do anything. It's just that's the breaks.
I know there was one time I dropped mine face down on concrete.
Directly at my bus.
Shattered completely. I had to get a new phone.
It's funny now.
You just hit that right angle and just
Yeah, especially because I wasn't home. I was out and about, and I needed my phone to get home.
Oh, that's the worst.
It is.
What are you gonna do? Like ask someone for directions? Oh my God, great.
What is this? 1950?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. You gotta watch it. With people on the street. You know what I mean? Like, and especially if you are that person on the street asking people for something.
Yeah.
You never know.
Me, goddamn.
That's tough. Yeah. It's funny. Like these experiences that we have. It's like at the time they're so devastating. You know what I mean? It makes you feel terrible, but you can giggle about it later. You know what I mean?
It's
and when it happens to somebody else, that's the essence of comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
It is. No, it's funny. It's weird how that works, but that's again, it's kind of like, I guess you got to laugh. You know what I mean? You have to. You have to have a good time. You have to enjoy. It's really kind of it's crucial because it can be easy to get overwhelmed. It can be easy to get like, when you get knocked down, maybe you beat yourself up. That can happen too.
Sometimes it's healthier to just laugh at the ridiculousness of it.
Right. That's absolutely correct. Get down. Absolutely correct. It's actually been so I watched a few episodes. Sorry, I'm feeding my dog.
Hey, dog.
I watched a few episodes and I realized that like my concentration face, I'm really listening to you face it's like the angry black man, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm like scowling almost. And I realized like I should smile more. Like I should really like soften up my face and, you know, I kind of have myself on a more positive regimen lately of just thinking positively and just positive thoughts. And even if something is negative, I'll see the silver lining in it. And it's really been having really amazing results in my life. But doing it intentionally with the, you know, like doing it as intentionally as I come here every morning and have class, and as intentionally as I, you know, speak negatively to myself, you know what I mean? As intentionally as I
Your self-talk manifests what you talk about.
It does, Amber. It really does. And you know, and being 42 years old, it's like one of those things that like you've always known, you know. But you know, I just really started really practicing, and it's just the simple thing about it is it's just better spending time in my own head. Because my head is just a
when
better
you're
place
positive.
to be. Yeah, yeah, and everything starts from there. So.
I think the older you get, the harder it is to remain positive as a natural thing. Because
Okay.
I found the older I get, the less F's I have to give.
Yeah.
I
No,
gave
that's real.
too many of them up in my 20s and 30s, and now I am sparse with the F's I have to give. So I have to make a choice to be positive.
Yeah, you gotta do it
choice
consciously.
now.
Yeah. It's a choice. That's right. And there's so many reasons. There's so many forces that are trying to get us to not think positively. You know what I'm saying?
You
found
should
a lot
join us
of
tonight for Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple. I think you'd really enjoy the conversation.
Oh, word. Yeah, I love Robbie. He's a cool dude. I met him at Hell City.
Yeah, you should join us tonight if you have time.
Oh, okay, what time do y'all get on?
5 o'clock. Well, 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Cool. That's what's
Because
up.
I
I
know
might be
we're not
tattooing,
all
but I
on the
can
East
still.
Coast like me.
Oh, you're on East Coast. So yeah, we're on the same coast.
yeah. I enjoy Robbie's show also. And I enjoyed this group. You know what I mean? I think I think it helps me, you know, certainly gives me something to look forward to, something to, you know, kind of stay busy, stay active, hold myself accountable. You know what I mean? Like there, you know,
Yeah.
there was a lot of drawings and stuff. There's a lot of work to do, you know what I mean? But putting in, it's like, you know, putting in this a little bit of extra to do this, I think it's made a big difference for me. And so I hope that you all start to get that sort of, you know, energy, you know, too, that you put into it and you get back, you know. And I think that's the thing I'm learning. You know, I'm learning that's it's a real thing. If I can put in some invest some energy,
Yeah.
there's this return that I receive, and I really do, you know, I really appreciate all of you for coming. It makes it, you know what I mean? It makes it what it is. It's having the gang here. So thank you all seriously for coming.
You're welcome.
I know.
You're welcome.
I know.
Thanks
I
for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you. Seriously. No, it means a lot to me. And also, you know, I hope that I hope there's like, you know, the content that you get, or, you know, the things that we cover are, you know, they're interesting to you, and that, you know, there's something that you get from it, or there's something that like is enriching, and, you know, whether it's just sort of professionally or spiritually, there's something about it that you know, you keep coming back, and I appreciate that. So, and I know I do, you know, I know that there's just a lot that I get, you know, from doing these things. You know, I've done them for years, and the fact that we can, you know, all, you know, engage in it together, I think is at different levels, right? Everybody's sort of coming in from a different, you know, from your own sort of point of view and your own perspective, your own point in your life, but there's still, you know, there's still some value to it. And so that was something that I wanted to sort of touch back, something that we've done, we used to do it every show. And that's the practice ellipses, just to get warmed up. Ah, yeah, awesome. And so this was something too that Harriet, you were talking about, like, so the grandkids really enjoy doing the little kids.
Yeah.
They love doing
They
that.
make their ellipses when they come over.
I think, yeah, whether you're young or old, it's, this is just sort of, I think something that's kind of it's a regimen that you can sort of practice, and I, I get it. I think there, it's sort of, it can be kind of silly at the same time, but, uh, I just like I like the action, I mean, I think getting warmed up and doing that, I think is good. So,
Pencil, goddamn.
yeah, so grab a piece of paper, a pencil, your iPad, whatever. I'll even, let's see. I'll do them like shared screen style. So let's see.
Use a colored pencil.
Let's see.
Yeah, my watercolor teacher has us do a similar warm up with a pencil or a pen. Like
Awesome.
just squiggles across and then go back and do it the other way and then back the other way.
Good. No, I think that's good that that's good that, like, it's not I'm not nuts, like I'm not
No.
crazy. There's other people that
What you mean that you're not nuts?
Also,
You have to be a little crazy to be an artist.
Yes.
I guess that's true. That is true. So, what do I got here? That one. That's not.
Oh,
funnily enough.
Your TARDIS, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, that is nice.
TARDIS cup.
yeah.
Fellow Whovian.
Yeah, nice. Oh, I love Doctor Who.
Killer. All right, so I've got my pad, my iPad screen is all shared. So ellipse, right? I'm just gonna start drawing them, and again, like, you can orient them any way you like, right? So they can have this long axis horizontally, right? Or of course, like, long axis kind of vertically. Oh, those are terrible. Let's get warmed up. All right, gang, let's do it. So, so 1, do 50 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And again, you can sort of, you can go clockwise or counterclockwise. It doesn't matter, but I think that's what's really good about the practice, is sort of like, you do them both ways, and then you kind of figure out, like, maybe there's a way that you're more comfortable with it. All right, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Turn those down, draw on top of them. Yeah, digital is nice. So much, so many fun things you can do with it. 21, 22, 23.
Have you what are some fun things that you did in art school that you wanted to do, that you went in? Well, let me ask you that. What did you kind of go in to art school to do?
3. Well, I love drawing portraits. I'm just so interested in, in people. And so, that was really that's always something that I was really fascinated by. And I think when I first started going to art school, it was like, was about art, and I don't think I was very interested. I wasn't very interested in art at the time. I liked drawing portraits. You know what I'm saying? Like I liked what I liked. So I
Gotcha.
wasn't as driven or focused to focus on art. So I went to a little school. I found a little school in Chicago called the American Academy of Art,
Oh my God.
and they are and they're sort of, you know, they're really sort of centrally focused around the figure and, you know, drawing faces and stuff. And they're an illustration school, so they really kind of have like this rich history of like illustrators who drew people. So that really
I've always wanted
really
to draw the person.
that was really that's the funnest thing for me, and that was what attracted. But that's what really got me into art. Was like was like continuing to draw people and continuing to study that sort of thing, and then art became really interesting too. So 31, 32.
That's what's
But what
up.
about yeah, no, I'm interested to hear what everybody has to say.
Like with me, it was
yeah.
tattooing. Like I was always interested in like art and artistic things. Like I even went to school for film at Temple University. But you know, that never, I mean, it wasn't what I thought it was. So, I mean, I studied graphic design and, at a major graphic design in another school. But I don't know, like tattooing really did it for me. So, and then tattooing has allowed me to really get into art because it's almost like, because I have to now, you know what I mean? So that's I really credit tattooing for getting me, and just like you know, wanting to do faces, that getting into art. So I would say tattooing got enough me, allowed me to really get into art. Anybody else?
Oh, go ahead, Amber.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I actually go to the academy right now, the American Academy of Art. And the reason why I went was because, well, I've always been a computer person. And it's one of the only schools that has 3D modeling as a major and not just like a certification. So I put myself through a year of drawing.
Nice.
Because the whole first year is all drawing, and then the second year they put you on a computer.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it just opened up everything for me. I've had a really good experience.
That's what's up.
But 3D printers, that's what got me into art school.
Mm.
And the library. Support your local library.
Always.
Amen to that.
Awesome. Well, I did mine. Yeah, and I hope you were inspired by how terrible they were. You know, that was something that I think I started doing. I don't know. I think like I started doing this, trying to like get warmed up and try to like practice these ellipses because like I went to teach it one day. Like I was like, you know, so I had a class and I was like, I would teach like what is an ellipse and stuff, and I'm like, you know, it was like God, I don't really understand them. You know what I mean? It was so, you know, they're very it's very technical, but of course they're so simple too. It's really kind of I don't know. I was just really fascinated by it, and I couldn't draw them either. You know what I mean? It was so hard to draw by hand and get it, you know, and get it right. You know, and I guess to hopefully to relate to the students a little bit, I was like, all right, I'll just draw it for you. See how bad it is. You could now don't feel so bad, right? If it's not working out, it's something you're going to practice. You might not ever, well, we'll never be perfect. You know what I mean? It's never perfect. Even mechanically, you know what I mean? There's always some glitch.
Does perfection exist? Is anything like, how do we even know what perfect is?
Perfection is a curse. That's what it is.
Unattainable.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfection is in the process, I guess. You know.
Yeah, no. Surprisingly, I
Yeah.
have a notebook full of over 50 ellipses
That's awesome.
somewhere in my room.
Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome. I so I think I want to continue the conversation while we're getting warmed up, because it's so I really have been enjoying, like, hearing everybody's story. The next exercise that I'd like to sort of practice, just sketch out some boxes. We're going to just sort of sketch them out, like because I think it's going to lead into our conversation about head study. That was the thing we talked about last week. We want to get into it, and so again, we're getting everything warmed up. We're getting our hands, we're getting our hands warmed up. We're getting our eyes sort of warmed up. We're getting that link, right? There's that link, that hand-eye coordination. And so, let's see here. I'm going to go back to. I will share again my iPad. Let me get the hang of this. Oh my God.
Technology.
It's like there's one little there it is. There's one little corner where it works. There's a button that works, and then I got it. Anyway, got it. But okay, we'll turn off those. Turn on that. Okay. So sketching out the boxes. I just like to think about it like that, so there's linear perspective. If you think about like, this, if you think about like, eye level, being at some point, there's a vanishing point back there, and you could have a box, that has this sort of perspective going on, right? So sketch out a box just as a concept, right? I don't want to go through all that. I just want to sketch them out. So I think what I'm trying to demonstrate here is it looks like these two edges, right? It looks like they'll converge at a certain time, right?
That's
The
vanishing
angle
point.
is, yeah. This is linear perspective, that it looks like they're going to converge at a certain point. Hopefully all of them do. Like that's going to converge, right? And then these ones will converge. Where this one, I mean, I didn't draw them as well, but like these ones are perfectly vertical, or they're supposed to be, right? They're
Yeah.
supposed to be vertical in this particular setup. So anyway, not just if you're just getting started out with this, and you want to, you're like, well, what do I do, for these edges, these all lines all sorts of, they feel like they converge. What do I do with this? These you can draw, purely vertically. Interestingly, if you could also think about it like, you have this
Could you do that
line
again?
here, and which one?
Just the whole thing.
Yeah, sure.
You did it so quickly.
So eye level. So you think about like, your point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your eye, if you look out, if you look at the ocean, the ocean is the horizon. Well, that's also the height. That's also like it's also the height of
Oh,
your eye. You know what I mean? Like, so you're looking, right? That's the height of your eye on the planet, right? Wherever you're standing, as far as you can see out in the distance, right? There's a certain, you're so tall from the ground. I don't want to confuse everybody. There's all kinds of material on it. I definitely love to cover this subject. But just
Yeah,
to sort
I
of get
follow
the,
it. I'm definitely
okay, good.
following it.
Awesome. So at a certain point along this eye level, there's a point where all of these planes will appear to converge, right, on a certain point. We called that the vanishing point, right? And so in this setup, there's like two of them. I have two vanishing points. I mean, it's my sketch is sloppy, but this is the idea, right? That there's a vanishing point me get rid of this eyeball. I don't want that to be something that is confusing anybody. So there's a vanishing point, and then all of these, planes will appear to converge right at this vanishing point. So that's the concept of the sort of this linear perspective, right? That there's a vanishing point, and just sorry, I'm like too hung up on the accuracy. Anyway, so it all looks like, this plane over here on the left, this one, it's heading in this direction, right? And the plane over here on the right, it's heading over here in this direction. So that's how you kind of force the perspective.
Are the top so the flat top surface, are those lines also going to the vanishing point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can see, right, hopefully zoom in a little bit. So this top edge, right, we're talking about the top of the box. This edge and this edge, they're headed off towards the vanishing point, right? And then this side plane, again, same thing. They're all heading off towards that vanishing point. And I mean, if you like, a lot of times, if you're sketching, or I mean, a lot of times I think you can just sort of imply this. Eyeball it is the technical term. You can eyeball it, and you can really get the sense that there's a perspective there. I think, going through these as an exercise of like sort of forcing, getting out the ruler and doing it can be valuable. But if you're always, you can get too hung up on it. I mean, I know I do sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
But yes, so yes, that's what helps us know that we're all, so
Horrible box, but I drew it.
these are so just another couple technical words, not to make anybody upset or anything, but so these diagonal lines, they're referred to as orthogonal. That means at right angles too. So these edges, like we think the box is having, it's all 90 degrees, right? It's a box, right? This one is a cube, so it's like all squared up. Now when we see it in perspective, we see these diagonal lines. So we know that it's, we know, like, if we were to look at it in, in a certain way, we would see a square. You know what I mean? We'd see like something flat. But because of perspective, we see, some diagonals. So it just depends on where you're looking at it from. So right, so these diagonal lines, orthogonal, they're going back to the vanishing point. The vertical lines, right, or in the case here, I drew this one in 1 point perspective, right? Drew this little cube right here. These flat horizontal lines, right, or the vertical ones are transversal, referred to as transversal. They transverse the grid, right? This, there's like two-dimensional grid of horizontal and vertical. So I know we're getting into the details too much, probably.
Let's get into the details.
I'm glad.
From art class.
What's that?
I actually remember some of this from art class, so
cool. Yeah,
at least
cool.
My long-term memory's still good.
Hey.
Well, so there's that. Hopefully that was helpful. But I'll show one more thing because I think it's kind of fun to think about. So like again, so we have this, we could have this plane going, back to the to vanishing point, right? There's a transversal that way. Again,
if you want to get that easier, there is a perspective tool on Procreate.
I know.
Okay.
I do know this. I absolutely know it. Thank you. And I think too, learning some of how this works can really help when you use that perspective tool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
kind of have if you know how this can function like at a real rudimentary level, like then the perspective tool is so powerful.
Yeah.
Especially, God, I watch people use it and it's like, it's just it's amazing. It some of it, confounds me too. I'm like, oh my God, that's so simple how you use it. And I mean it works so well, but it's like how are you getting it? Anyway, so real quick. So again, I was talking about this sort of this vertical lines, right, or horizontal ones. There can be a point, there can be a situation where you're really extremely looking down at, you're almost on top of something like a box and you're looking down at it. Then you might experience like 3 points of perspective, right? Where you get right where these edges, instead of being totally vertical, they're going to now go to a vanishing point, right? um, these ones are going to converge, and these ones are going to converge, and these ones too, right? And how to figure out where to put all of that is another complicated sort of series of operations to perform. But I mean, if you're just sort of sketching, you know what I mean, and you really wanted to give yourself like this dynamic sort of interesting looking shape, right? And then it's be wider one down there. And you're starting to be able to create like this sort of this forced perspective, right, where you can kind of you're really looking down, again, or I guess to bring it back, like so maybe we're looking at the at somebody's face, you know what I mean, we're like we're seeing that we're seeing from the really extreme sort of angle, something like that, right? I mean, there's these ways that you can use these tricks to
Wow,
give
that's
yourself.
crazy.
Oh, cool! I'm glad. Thank you.
This is where the aha moments happen.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah. Because I
sense.
was doing this with the boxes in
Yeah.
the exercise with George Bridgman, but it makes sense because like it's like this way you can use the horizon to turn the head of the head. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
So
Aha.
just like this can be really interesting. If you want to create your own original characters, you know what I mean. If you want to create like I mean, any object that you would sort of think about three-dimensionally, you know, uh, but you want to draw it, right? I mean, so like I think that's where 3D modeling can be so useful, like so if you learn that stuff, you learn how to use that software, you learn how to use those programs, you can design it, and then you can fly around it and see it in any perspective you want. Um, but that's the but this is how it used to be done. Is this sort of way,
Wow. This is
right?
how I
This is
want to do it.
how it would have used to have been done. Um, and then I think there's advantages to both ways, and probably synergy if you could use both ways too. You know what I mean? There's probably so much that you can get
Mm-hmm.
from being
Yeah.
able to do both. So this is you know uh and then too, just like to Elisa's point about like there's a way to do the perspective grid in Procreate, which is so powerful. I think let me see if I can't call that up right now, right? So preferences right now, it's the canvas.
Canvas.
Yes, drawing guide. Edit my drawing guide. Real quick, let's see. I'll run through that again so that way everybody sees it, right? So I hit the wrench, and then drawing guide. Make sure you click that button so it's on, and then you can hit edit drawing guide. Now you have different options to use. If you've never found this before, it's like, this is really useful. So there's a 2-dimensional grid, which you can set to different like measurements, which is really could be very useful if you want something specifically, like 1 inch by 1 inch grids or whatever. Isometric, which I want to talk about in just a moment, but and then symmetry, also very useful if you want to draw something symmetrically, can be very useful. Perspective. So perspective grid. So how you set it up, right? You tap to vanishing point. So I hit one, and then it sets up that horizontal eye level, just sort of talking about. What's nice is you could put one like outside of your composition too. And so, let's see, I can move it. Yeah, roughly something like that. And then I can also put a third one, like I was just sort of demonstrating there, right? So, I get rid of these for a second, and I turn on put on a different layer. Make sure to turn on your drawing guide, then you should be able to draw your 3-point box. And it should be very convincing, much more, much tighter and more convincing. But that was like, so it's like you set it up, especially if you, like you kind of have that idea of like what's going on, then you can jump in here and use this. And then if you want to draw inside of it, you turn off the drawing grid, because otherwise it's going to keep forcing you, it'll force your, everything to go to those vanishing points. But yeah, then you can, draw your sketch. Put your head study in there. Whatever it looks like. So hard to make up the head,
I think he looks pretty handsome.
Thank you. Right. So it's a starting point. But anyway, yeah, I hope that was useful. The difference, thank you. Yeah, I think that the difference, let me turn this off for a moment. If you were going to do isometric, all that means is that that your edges are parallel, right? So if you have these right, parallel, hopefully parallel, still, you get the idea, right? Everything is parallel. Yeah, parallel-ish. I like that. It's parallel-ish. Right. If everything stays in parallel, then again you get this this idea of perspective happening, and you don't have to go through all of the eye levels and all that stuff. A lot of like technical things are rendered in isometric perspective, and then like video games, especially older ones, they really use this like system, if you like.
I know I use this all the time for designing rooms.
So you start like this, and then you can kind of create it, and you can make it more.
Yeah, because
something.
If I want to move something around, it's much easier than putting it in like 1 or 2 point perspective, because I can just kind of move the piece around and the perspective doesn't change. So it just kind of makes it easier to. It's like working in 3D and 2D.
It is weird. It's sort of like, when everything's super perfect like this, everything is actually parallel. It's like, you know, and you see all these, you know, this sort of long, it really starts to, you know, it messes with you a little bit, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, because you keep expecting you keep expecting this angle to happen, you know, it's just because it's sort of, you expect it because it's like, it's closer to how we experience the world. It's closer. It's not true, right? This is all drawing. Drawing is, you know, it's illusory, right? It's not truth. It is, you know, it's an illusion. Um, but we, our eyes are spherical, right? And you know, and the lenses are curved and stuff, and so everything is being bent, and you know, it's all light coming in, and then of course, it's all being like stitched together in your imagination. So it's mediated anyway. Reality is totally you're never directly experiencing it, and so, but I don't know. So right. So hopefully you've been sketching these boxes and sort of thinking about, you know, thinking about boxes. And then, you know, we'll touch on abridgment. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about with this particular chapter that I, you know, I think there's some important things to notice or to note. But yeah, I will stop the share and we're back. Cool. So I was also kind of to get us, you know, still in the mood, right? And to continue the warm up, I figured that we would do some gesture sketches too. And so I'm going to share let me see if I got it. We've got our pose maniacs, which I enjoy so much. So let's hear it. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. So this is kind of nice because I can kind of, you know, just put it on a timer and it goes, and we'll all be drawing them. So let's see, I'll get a couple extra layers here. All right. And then again, I've been sort of going on and on about perspective. That was not my intent today, but I really wanted to hear, we were talking about everybody's stories. Everybody's stories about their art journey.
Their art
And
journey.
so yeah, your art journey. Like, how did you get into it, right? What was going on?
Yeah, I don't think we heard yours, Amber.
Yeah.
I was in first grade and I did this painting of a jungle. I mean, it was a first grader's painting of a jungle. But my art teacher was really impressed with it. And I went, oh, I like this feeling. I didn't know art was a thing that other people couldn't do. And I remember in first grade having that thought. So I just kept on going with the art, but art was second. From the time I was 3 until I was 18, I trained to be a Broadway dancer.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
And then I destroyed my ACL in a dirt bike accident. So my second, I tried to get an apprenticeship because I was like, all right, I'm doing art. Originally, I was going to be going to the Maryland Institute of Art for major in dance and minor in fine art. But that plan got derailed by killing my knee.
Wow.
And then I had a baby. So my mother was like, you are not going to be a tattoo artist. You are going to get a real job and support your child. And I kind of had to agree with that. So I worked in special services with special needs kids and juvenile delinquents for 20 years. And then I got another apprenticeship. I was like, I'm doing it now. It's Amber time. It's time to be a tattoo artist. But I remember in that moment in first grade going, oh, I'm good at this.
Nice.
And then I've spent every moment since doubting my talent.
Oh,
Oh, good.
But I remember
All
that
of us,
aha
all
feeling.
of us have. I think talent's a myth. It's all about the work you put into it. There's some talent there, but it's a simple fact that you just keep working at it every day. But I
Yeah,
definitely understand what you say. I definitely, identify with what you're saying.
it goes back to that, choosing to think positive instead of negative.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm constantly telling my imposter syndrome to shut the hell up.
Right, exactly. I've been doing a lot of that lately too, just telling myself, I'm a great artist, I'm a great artist, I'm a great artist, I know what I'm doing, this is great, this is awesome. That's been helping a lot too.
Goes towards manifesting a positive future.
It does. Yeah. Amen. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem. Thank you for listening.
Totally. How about you, Jesse?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've done art as long as I can remember. I don't ever remember not drawing. As soon as I could make a mark on something, I was doing it. And I got out of school and had a couple of jobs that I say a couple. I mean, probably a lot of jobs that I just walk out on and factory work and things like that. And I couldn't imagine living my life like that. And I started tattooing when I was 19. My parents got kind of tired of me not, holding a job, and they told me they would support anything I wanted to do as long as I did it. And I tried to get an apprenticeship in a local shop, and it didn't work out. And I ended up going to a tattoo school in upstate New York in December 2006, and that's kind of how I got going with that.
Cool.
Yeah, how was that experience going to tattoo school? I don't
You went
think
to a
I've
tattoo
ever
school?
talked to anybody.
Cool.
Yeah, I've never talked to anybody that's done that.
So when I went, they told me not to let anyone know that that's where I learned, because it was looked down upon, and no one would take me seriously and that sort of thing. I was only there for 2 weeks. It was about 10 hours a day. Day one was mostly bloodborne pathogens, cross contamination, that sort of thing. Day two was um, equipment and going over needle groupings and that sort of a thing. We did a autoclave class, and then I tattooed basically 10 hours a day for the rest of the 2 weeks.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I don't think I learned enough to you know actually be good, but I did learn a lot about safety, and I think that's really number one. So
I agree. I mean,
You
I
can
would
take
just
the
like to
bloodborne
say,
pathogens class online on its own.
right. You can do all kinds of things online, but
Yeah.
I think in person. I think after you do it for so long, that's acceptable. But I think at first you should definitely be taught by someone that's what they do.
Oh yeah, I was lucky working with special needs kids. I had to be trained in first aid, CPR, and bloodborne pathogens for the 20 years I worked there. So now just taking that test every year it's second nature.
Right.
That's well, yeah, no, I think that's interesting. That was so it was a, so kind of a course, some coursework that you were able to do, Stephen, and I think that like that's good. I mean, and those are the important sort of I think topics um, to cover. Why
Yeah,
is so?
definitely.
I mean, but I get it. I've heard that before. You know what I mean? But it's like, what is the hang up in the industry with a formalized education? I know that like there's a tradition of master handing down to apprentice, and that's sort of a thought. But like,
Yeah.
I guess
Uh,
I can speak to that.
yeah. Let's
It's it's mainly just it's mainly just competition. Just a simple fact that like because there are gatekeepers in tattooing. They're
yeah,
Yeah.
gatekeepers and so it's like people want to just hoard all the information and that's all it is. That's all it's ever really been. It's just I guess it's just the idea that anybody could go to tattoo school and anybody can learn how to do tattooing, which I mean clearly that's not true. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
And if it's almost the opposite, like just like what Jesse explained, like that sounds pretty like I wish I had gone through needle groupings and all of these things from my first apprenticeship. I had to do all of that on my second apprenticeship. So not everybody is willing to teach you that kind of stuff, and or apprenticeship could be crazy. You know what I mean? Like it could be just
Yeah.
here
Oh yeah,
go.
all I did was make needles and clean.
Yeah, I mean it could. They don't necessarily have to teach you all of these things, but if you're going to school, um, it's you're going to learn these things, and I think that just the gatekeepers have always frowned upon it because it's just the idea that anybody could do it.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense as far as the why, you know what I mean? But it's sort of like, but still, I think there's well, it's like this, reinventing. This is
Exactly.
essentially a tattooing school. I mean, there's you have to, you really have to get involved in it and get deeper into it before you start getting, tattooing knowledge.
Yeah.
It's very art centric, I think, Ooh. So that's a big part that I appreciate about it. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's what this is. And it's not an institution that can grant you, some sort of, you know, diploma from higher learning or something like that. But I think the proof would be in your, in the pudding, so to speak, right? If you actually go through the
But
reinventing
there's a
curriculum and
curriculum
really do
though.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If you really do it, again, and like talking about investment, you invest in it, you're gonna you're going to have a lot of skills that would be very applicable to this practice of doing tattooing and stuff, or I mean just frankly making art in general, being an artist who can be a professional, do commissions and stuff. So
That's what I would
um
like to do too. Definitely like to get more into the art. You know what I mean? Just yeah, that would be great. That sounds cool. And just
I
like
feel
you,
like
man,
I
I always
have
wanted
to
to
make
kind of get it.
art.
Yeah, me too.
If I don't make
I
art,
always
my
wanted
brain will explode.
my brain. That's right. That's right.
what were you gonna say, Spirit?
Oh, I was just gonna say, just like you, I always kind of wanted to get into cartooning. Like, I always wanted to do like me personally. I always wanted to do like political cartoons,
Nice.
or
Awesome.
yeah, or at least social commentary cartoons.
Kind of like Doonesbury.
I'm not familiar.
I'm kind of dating myself then mentioning it. It's a
That's okay.
comic strip that is always in the Sunday papers, at least
Oh,
here
okay.
on the East Coast, because I think it's out of New York. but it's very much political commentary and social commentary and things like that, but in a very satirical way.
Oh, cool, cool.
Well, I'm familiar with Doonesbury. I think is it the one about the army or no?
No, it's the
Okay.
one, it's like,
I guess I don't know
I
it.
think it's two guys in that work at either a magazine or a newspaper.
Hmm.
Like it's two journalists.
God, these are fast. These gestures are so
Yes,
quick.
I know.
Yeah, these are crazy.
Yeah,
My hand just doesn't want to do the thing today.
Well, just think shapes, right? I think that's it's like that's the ones that I'm
No, I
really
can
getting the
follow
most out of
freaking
is
thing.
like just going for shape, just no
I
details,
probably
just sort of
shouldn't.
capture those shapes.
I probably shouldn't have said my hand doesn't want to do the thing in front of my daughter because I'm tattooing her today.
A victim.
Mhm.
She's tired of watching me tattoo all my clients and her not getting any ink.
Awesome.
I know it's been 7 years. You can stop saying it's been 7 years.
Now until I feel any hold on my skin.
Well, we've heard from just about everybody, but Harriet, I want to hear. We'd like to hear about your story a little bit. I know you like to call yourself a non-artist or whatever, but I don't think that. I don't think that. That's stinking thinking, right? Because I'm because Harriet's my mother, and I grew up like looking at your wood burnings, right? So you used to used to do a lot of wood burning, and so chirographic, that's the word for it. And I really sort of, I've come to associate that with like a big influence on how I started doing tattoos, because it was sort of there's such a I find this link, but yeah, I'd love to hear you talk about those experiences a little bit, if you could.
Gosh. Can you hear me? I don't know if I'm muted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I just
Yeah, I'm not going to try to.
was just something. It's funny. I was given a wood burning set for Christmas one year, but I didn't get to keep it because we had to go to a relative's house and I had to give one of my presents to the older cousin. So in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, if I only had a wood burning set, I could probably do something really cool with it. So it was I was in my late 30s, early 40s, maybe when I started that. And just found a book that I could trace things. I never thought of myself as really doing art. I'm a tracer. And so I even, did a few on plain pieces of wood to take up to art shows, and a couple people bought them, surprised me, but it was a way to just individualize our own chairs, rocking chairs, kitchen chairs, things like that. But you were the inspiration to me when you were, sometime you were 6 or 7 years old, and what you started drawing was like incredible to me. And just, I love supporting you and watching what you came up with your cartoons, the Shankly, and when you won that one political cartoon thing, and just watching your journey. And now I feel like I'm in a place that I can start learning how to actually do drawings correctly and be happy about what it looks like. And to show you what I took out of the Bridgman book. And there's a process, I think. You guys all know this already. You probably all found your process, how to do it, but I'm just trying to know. I'm trying to learn.
I'm still trying to find my process.
Well, yeah,
I'm with you, Harriet.
Using graphing paper. is what I did this week. Use scrapping paper to try to get the right proportions and things. So how far should the eyes be from the nose, from the lips and the chin, and how far apart are the eyes, and where's the hairline? Just those little basic kind of things. So I'm really on the journey now to learn. But I've always been a proponent of lifelong learning. I figured that I would do a lot of my learning when I retired and got older. So that's what I'm working on.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, that's well, I think I just want to say, that we're all learning how to draw with more confidence. I think that's the thing. There's going to be, the correctness of it is going to, come from, how we just the continuation of of working at it, right? You're going to, again, it's probably the same thing as perfection, right? It can't be, it can't be totalized, or it can't be, something that we can actually have, but but again, there's like a goal, there's this, it helps you keep desiring, right? Like I heard this thing, you don't want to climb a mountain to get to the top of it. You want to climb a mountain so you can find another one to climb. You know what I'm saying? So it does sort of like, you're kind of always perpetually kind of like delaying gratification that way, but there's something that, that may be kind of healthy about that, So, well, I just enjoyed hearing everybody's story so much, and I've got my drawing practice in, you know what I mean? It was so, multitasking defined here. Who does anybody want to show their gestures? I know I want to show a couple.
No,
Show off
no,
your gestures if you want to. I'd love to see them.
not this week.
I can.
Let's see what. So Spirit, I can see yours. I'm gonna spotlight you so we can check them out.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
This was hard.
No,
this is a very difficult.
Have a good day, creature.
Oh
That
yeah,
laying
creature.
down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Bye. Yeah, this is not an easy one.
That laying down one was a trip.
Yeah, it
Oh.
was. It was. Because that one, just like James would always say, he was like, even if it goes off the page, it's okay. So I just kind of was like, all right.
Well, it's too. It's like it's the same idea. We were just sort of going over perspective, and so we had in that one, it was like the hand and the head were so much closer than the feet were so far away. So it was, there was really this sort of this push, right, for distance that I thought was, it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's kind of that's what really adds to the challenge to it as well. So
yeah.
Stephen, let's check out yours. I want to put you up. Oh, what happened? Oh, there it is. Okay, sat. Yeah, can see it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That looks great.
Yeah, that laying down was hard.
Mm-hmm.
You can see like how I loosened up a little bit as I went,
Yeah, I like the lines that you were able to sort of find, all the, those angles that sort of relate to, like sort of the body, moving through space. It was very nice.
Thank you.
It's here's one thing that I think that I would just mention it. And so this isn't a criticism, it's just a mention. Like I like to draw a lot bigger, when I'm drawing the gestures, so I can really move around, move from the wrist. And so I know if you're drawing on paper and stuff, God, you go through so much paper. So in school, we always do, if we're like, if ever teaching like gesture drawing in school, it's like, all right, we have this it's really cheap paper called newsprint. It's the same paper
Yeah,
that newspapers are printed on. It's usually newsprint's kind of funny because it's such a low quality paper. It has a lot of acid in it, so it actually turns yellow real quick. It disintegrates and stuff. Really fine drawing paper has been de-acidified. It's like, so if you have a nice sketchbook, it's probably got nice drawing paper in it. It's been de-acidified, so it's going to last for a lot longer. The pages will stay like, whatever color they were when you got them, whether white or gray or whatever, whatever the paper looks like. It's archival. It's sort of
yeah,
it will last for a lot longer. But anyway, with the drawing a gesture on newsprint and really big, if you can get out and get some real cheap paper, right? Maybe it's just sort of brown wrapping paper is fine too. You know what I mean? But just so you can get the big sweep. On my iPad, I can just sort of have the whole iPad the whole iPad space to itself, and I can, draw. I just draw one per layer or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, it makes it hard to show them, but again, it's just a note, something to keep in mind. Drawing them really small. I don't want to downplay that. I don't want to say that's wrong or bad. I think is it'd be very valuable to do. But every once in a while, you may want to try to go a little bigger, and you really let your arm, from the shoulder, right?
yeah,
Do a lot of that. I find, when I'm doing tattooing and stuff like that, I'm all tight like this, it's all in the wrist and stuff. It really it's like you have to do what you have to do. Really, you really have to, you got to do it the way you have to do it. But sometimes I think with drawing, if you could practice it, if you can put it into your regimen, where you can really sort of open up and really start to, move around a little bit, it may start to lead itself into your tattooing as well. If you have to pull a huge line or something like that, it might be there for you, right? That sort of that training that you're giving to yourself. And then also there can be something I think really enjoyable about, giving yourself some space to move around. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And it's not a criticism. It's just a thought about like, the ways we can approach it. You know what I mean? Just a way to think about it. So, but yeah, look, who's got more? Who's got more drawings? I want to see them.
I've got some.
Let's check it out.
I made them bigger. I just shrunk them down. Uh-oh.
You can share if you want to.
I'll see if this works first. Uh-oh, that's worse. Oh no.
If you turn down the brightness on your screen, sometimes that can help.
There we go.
there we go.
Oh no.
Getting window glare. It was like, almost see it.
Once again, without it, it's worse. I'll try to share my screen.
Okay, give that a shot. And I've had just so much, like, such a huge learning curve, like trying to utilize these digital, platforms. It really has been, I mean, it's like, it's infuriating, but then you get to configure out a little bit, and then it becomes, I don't know, it becomes so cool to be able to share
when
with
you
everybody,
figure out the tools, they're great. It's just the frustration of figuring them out.
Yeah.
These are just interesting times that we're living in. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, at least
such a science fiction dream.
here's my aliens.
Hold on. Let me
Look like aliens
Give me a
always.
second. Let's I'll spotlight you real quick so we can
Alright.
see. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, just look. Let me see if you can see them. Look. My guys always look like aliens. You guys look like real people, but I don't yet. Yeah,
I love them.
that one.
Yeah, awesome. Very nice. Yeah. All right.
At least
So the if you're on, you should be able to, if you go share screen and then it's like Apple or is it iPhone or via AirPlay and then you
iPad.
mirror, yeah, you can mirror it. Oh, give me a
Is it
second.
happening?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
There we go.
Sweet.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't done
Beautiful. And
gestures in
then
a
yeah,
while.
no, there's some that are, yeah, I think there's some that are very confident and have just a sort of a real kind of energy. That's really all we're doing here, right? We're just trying to kind of capture this gesture, the energy. And so and then too, I mean, I guess I haven't really shown any, I've probably been, deficient myself, but like, you know, I also really like to look at the gesture drawings of other artists and stuff. And so I think, certainly seek some of that out, see what they look like, you know what I mean? And maybe I can sort of scrounge some up and check them out. But I think like sort of seeing what they look like and, what the way others do it, I guess, you know what I mean, can be really kind of interesting. And so thank you, Elise, for sharing. It was very cool. Very cool. I will I'll show a couple of mine and then it's time to talk about some. All right. Almost. I almost got it. Come on. It's right here. There it is. Jeez.
It's going.
Okay. Okay. So there's one, the standing up one. Yeah, so quick kinetic movements was what I was kind of
That
going
back
for
is
here.
really dope.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And then I was kind of like liked the hand that was extended as well, just the sort of, like there's an arrangement hand and then forearm and then the upper arm and stuff. Let me see if I don't know if there's any other ones that are look at that leg, way too short. Little baby leg. That will not support this figure. That will
It
not
looks
support the
nice.
weight of this figure. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, a couple of, I think probably, something that I'm still working on it, and it's still something that I'm always working on it. Confidence, and probably sort of, right, you get once you really kind of get like into the again with the short legs, I think once you really can get into the, like the timing of it, the strategy, too narrow, I think, at the hips. Then you can go back and add like a bit of a contour, that might help. And I need to do more of that. There's my laying down one.
Oh,
Struggled with
nice.
it too. Yeah, did struggle with it as
That's a
well.
nice one.
Get out there.
Thank
Why
you.
don't you go get the bag?
Let's see here. I think that's that one and pirouette. Yeah, I think that's just about all of them. So yeah. Very fun. Yeah, that's I enjoy these and I think I think that they're useful for getting warmed up. Maybe if you find the right amount of time that you need, if you are more comfortable at 2 minutes or if you're more comfortable at 5 minutes or something like that, you're gonna, like, 5 minutes is not a very long time to draw a whole figure. But I think if that's something that you start to get really comfortable with, and they start becoming very beautiful, you know, you can sketch these in paint, right? They could be, you know, they could be oil paintings, or they could be, you know, watercolors. You know, you could use the side of a pastel or something, or a piece of chalk or whatever, and draw like really large, you know, sorts of marks that, you know, start to make up these shapes.
Yeah, one of the first pieces of art
Experiment.
found was a human figure.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. You were Spirit, you were talking about like you wanted to talk about an artist. Did you want to talk about an artist today?
Oh,
Or
so I do have writings that I've done on some of my favorite, a few of my favorite artists. Um, I'm still researching Caravaggio. Like, I mean, there's so much. It's like, what do you want to know? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm still kind of trying to figure out the angle that I'm going to take with him. But let me see if I can get my computer. Chat amongst yourselves, guys.
I know I
well,
had
there's
some
a
artists.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
you.
I had some artists that I wanted to share that I was inspired to share after last week, talking about like the sacred geometry and stuff. If we have like a couple minutes.
Please
Yeah, go
do.
ahead.
Okay. I have to share my screen. So that'll take 5 hours.
No, now you've got it. Now you know the drill.
Okay. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so last week we were talking about like the sacred geometry and stuff, which reminded me, I collect tarot decks, and I love like the artwork ones because, can you hear me? No?
Yes.
I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. For some reason I'm getting like a Zoom, but her name is Mary White. Oh my goodness. Her name is Mary White, and you
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes with um sometimes with PowerPoint presentations and stuff, and like I don't know if that was Google, I don't know if that was like the Google PowerPoint or something like that. It can be like,
yeah, Google Slides.
yeah, it can glitch.
Okay.
The way that so the way that I go like end run around it is I just sort of I export it as a PDF. I can make
Okay.
a, you know, I can make a presentation deck on something, and then I'll export it as a PDF, and then, you know, it shares that a lot more easily. So if you have Acrobat, you can share it
Yeah.
and stuff that way. Um, uh, or just the images and stuff like that. But I would really like to know more. So if you
Yeah,
know,
I'm downloading it now.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
as soon as you said it's about tarot decks, I'm like, ooh. I
Yeah.
collect tarot decks, and I've been in the process for years, but I'm creating my own tarot deck.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Let's try this again.
Yeah, that might be done by the time I'm 50.
Well, this lady, it took her about 10 years to complete this project.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. So her name is Mary White, and she is an oil painter. And what reminded me of this last week was that she uses, like, in her book, she calls it the Phoenix egg or Metatron's cube, and the tree of life, and just a lot of really geometric symbolism for for things like, she describes it as like someone handing you your soul, or handing you they call it, where it's like the two halves of your soul that they say that are put together when you use this symbol, or even the tree of life. It's kind of the coming together of like a journey. So at the end of a journey, you're given this tree of life, which is like knowledge and all of that. And I just wanted to also, since it's a tattoo show, she has some pretty sick illustrations of these that
Wow.
like this one is like goals. Oh my God.
Mhm.
But and then also because we're doing portraits today, I put some of her portraits in here as well. Just because I think she does some really interesting. This one's, you can't see the portrait when you first look at it, but like the eye is here, nose, the mouth down here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Which
that.
I think this is supposed to be a representation of Odin. Odin's represented by ravens, so this is like Odin's ravens.
Yeah, I can see that totally.
And then these
that's
two, these are
dope.
just two of my favorite ones. This is like my
Oh,
favorite
the
depiction
death
of the
card
lover's
is
card.
beautiful.
Yeah. I know, I love this card. And then the second artist I wanted to mention, his name is Peter Moorbacher, and you definitely check him out because he has online speed paints of his digital drawings, and they are absolutely insane to watch. And this is just once again him talking about like the tree of life and stuff in his book. And he uses it for the backing. So he uses both Metatron's cube and the tree of life on the backing of his card. And then
Funny,
the
I
tree
want a
of
Metatron's cube tattoo.
oh, awesome. Yeah. So he also depicts these like really trippy figures to represent each of the points of the tree of life. And I just think that they're like amazing. I love them. I think
Beautiful.
he's changed a lot of them now. He has a couple of different tarot decks and oracle decks out. But I just thought that you would find them interesting after we talked so long about them last week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's so cool to see an artist who, like, you know,
That's dope.
their work is like, you know, it's like it's better than AI. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like it has that AI vibe, but it's also it's like, you know, it's just so it's so rich. You know what I mean? There's so much reference to historical painting and art, but then like sort of realized through these digital means and stuff. It's, you know, I think it's I think it's amazing. Thank you so much. Those were so
That's
cool.
dope.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Spirit, you're up.
Yo, all right, sweet.
Batter up.
Let me do one more thing.
Thank you, Elise.
Elevator music.
Do, 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 do.
All right, so I'd like to share my screen.
It's a process.
Yeah. All right, so let's go here. Open calendar. Open Google Calendar. Here I come.
Cool. All right. Got you.
All right,
Got
sweet.
you on.
All right, got it. Okay, so.
Uh-oh.
That's trippy.
You like
I think
that?
you fixed it. No, you fixed it. It's so weird with two devices. I'm, you know, like I've got an old phone that I can do I used to, I could show it as a camera. That might be another way to go. I know, Amber, you were talking about, having a,
Yeah,
be
you
able to
just,
watch yourself, like film yourself while you're working. And so if you have like an old
I do.
device, maybe that can work. If it can get onto Wi-Fi, you can go to
Share
Reinventing
my
and find the
screen.
link. If it's your iPad, so if it's your iPad, you can do
Yes. I
share
need to
screen.
find a mount for the ad.
Oh yeah, that's right. I've done this before.
All right,
All
we
right.
got it.
There it is. All right,
Nice.
sweet. So this is a piece called Blues by Archibald Bach. And I'm just gonna read what I have here.
I've seen this piece before. I love it.
Awesome. He painted in 1929. So this is an email that I write to my clients, and I'm just gonna. Is there an echo?
A little
A
bit.
little bit of an echo.
Okay. I'm not sure how to fix that.
It's like if you're when you join with your second device, if you don't join the audio with that device, if it gives you the option not to join audio, that's how I'm able to get over it. Like
Okay.
because you can't
Oh, you are muted.
yeah, it's not the
that's the
mute, it's
weird
not the
thing.
mute thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mute thing. It's like when you come into the room,
Disconnect
you have
audio.
to, yeah. There you
Okay.
go.
There we go. All right.
I
Sweet.
don't really hear it. I don't really hear any echo anymore. So I think you may have
No.
Yeah, I
fixed
fixed
it.
it. All right, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna read it as I wrote it. All right. So I really enjoy looking deeper into pieces of art so that I can find the hidden treasures buried in them by the artist. Looking at this piece, we see how the band plays, creating the rhythm that sways hips and paints smiles. These muses wipe away the problems and troubles of the day, while these fine people dance their hearts out and move to the rhythm of the blues. But let's get on the dance floor and take a closer look. The gentleman in the center of the piece provides an anchor because he is a massive figure on which the woman in the center can hold on to. His size provides an anchor or a rest area so that your eye can use it to take its time to dance around the piece and gaze upon the scene. In a very real way, you and the woman in the center become one. You're drawn in the painting by her smile. Notice how detailed it is. You can almost see the glint in her eyes as they dart around the scene, just like yours are. Therefore, being drawn into the piece, you are no longer a wallflower just watching everybody else. You are also dancing and shaking a tail feather. The hidden treasure here for me is that the artist wanted to teleport me into an experience he had on a fun night out sometime in 1929 in Paris, France. Thank you for joining. That's it.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're good with
Yeah.
words too.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, those are a series of I write emails to my clients, and sometimes I like to center them on art. And yeah, when I first discovered a lot of like Black artists in the early 1900s, I was just blown away with the amount of talent that was there, and just kind of how much was just kind of kept from the eye of the public. And so I started just writing all about the artist that I found, and he was one of my favorites. I was just really drawn to it. Just kind of, I wanted to point out what was going on, see if other people saw it. But so thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it.
That was beautiful.
I enjoyed
I
it.
agree. Mm-hmm. It was great, and I love the analysis too. Like you said, it's we aren't just observing, right? We participate. Like in a painting like that, you kind of you become a participant inside of it. So
Yeah.
What's so
I
great
love
about
that.
this class, we were fairly diverse, and we each have points of view, and we have different backgrounds that we can look into each other's likes and dislikes, and it's just, I'm learning so much. I'm seeing artists I've never seen or heard before, even types of art. I didn't know anything about tarot decks or Archibald Motley, and this is a real strength. Besides learning how to draw, all this background, wow, this is a fantastic class.
It is
Oh,
a
thank
very
you.
well-rounded art class.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
agree. Yeah.
Well, it's because of the contributions. You know what I mean? Everybody is like putting into it. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's like there's only I can only draw so many ellipses. You know?
Yeah.
It's the synergy of us. Yes.
Right. No, that's it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you know, and I think keeping the conversation going, I don't know. That's the thing. I feel like I just enjoy all of your company, and that's what I'm looking forward to. That's how I'm doing it. I don't know if I don't know if anybody watches this show. I don't know if they ever will. But at the same time, what's important is like kind of like right now. You know what I mean? It's like being in this moment and being able to sort of do these things. Oh, we've got a special guest.
Hey, it's Gabe.
It's Gabe, everyone. Hey, Gabe, how you doing?
Are
Hello.
we being bad and going over?
Maybe. No, we're fine. He's gonna? He
Okay,
can't
good.
kick us off just yet. Anyway, he's on mute right now, so he's just
Hi,
he's just
Gabe.
hanging out in the
Hello.
Right to us in the
Yeah,
background.
hey, Gabe. Yeah.
Gabe,
Anyway,
architect God.
Yeah, we're being good. It's okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, everybody act like normal. No, I've been working with Gabe at Tattoo now, and he's got, so here's a little plug, right? It's like he's developed this customer relations management software that's, you know, it's best in class. It's like, it's amazing. It's really pretty, it's pretty user friendly. There's, you know, I think there's some, again, we're talking about technology and like, you know, the learning curve and stuff. There's some learning that I'm still doing so that I can get up to speed with it. But so, you know, I don't, like, the poor craftsman blames their tools. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm learning how to use it. And the more that I do, again, I think it's sort of like it's creating a better culture around, you know, with and relation between me and my clients. So I'm able to communicate more effectively. They can sense and know that I care about them. Sometimes it's like, you know, you get a bunch of people, and it's like it's hard to, you know, it's hard to let them know how much you care. So having a little bit of a digital assistance, I think, has been great. Hey, there's Gabe. How you doing? You are. Yeah, can't hear you.
Can't hear me. Don't see him or hear
Can't hear
him.
you.
Are you still muted, Gabe?
Testing,
Oh.
testing.
There
No,
you are.
Yes.
Yay.
I'm here now. Okay. Whew, I'm glad.
Oh,
No, I was just enjoying the conversation before. I appreciate the plug, James. It's not quite best in class yet. I'm working feverishly to make it easier to use. But yeah, no, it's definitely fun to be fine tuning it and to be working with, you know, artists like yourself. But no, mostly I just wanted to tune in and say that this I do watch in the background often as I can, and it is great to see this group kind of grow and everybody's contributions. So just from the reinventing point of view, you know, thanks for making it happen every Monday again. And yeah, like I said, I you know, some of those artists that you were showing off earlier are awesome. I hadn't seen them before, and yeah, I don't know, and it's awesome show. Thank you. Not
thank
kicking
you,
off
Gabe.
yet, but
For
we
having
have
me.
10 minutes before we switch over to the Tattoo Weekly.
Got it. Yeah.
Well, time flies when you're having fun.
Right.
Well, we've got somebody else that just joined us, Andrew Swarbrick. It's great to have you. If you wanna say hi to everybody, we'd love to. Hey, there's Andrew. Hey.
Hello.
G'day, mate.
Andrew, could you unmute yourself?
Yeah. So
Or you may have joined and clicked the sound off.
Yeah, there we go.
there you are.
G'day, how are you?
There we go.
hey, I just recently met Andrew via Zoom last week, and Andrew was showing off some of his paint. Andrew is a fantastic painter and tattooer, you know, like, you know, consummate tattooer as well. So it's honored to have you here at our show.
Thank you.
And thanks
Cheers.
for coming.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Gabe actually did an interview with him. I think, are you doing, is that today as well? In a couple minutes, Gabe, you're going to be,
Yeah.
you guys are going to interview again?
Correct.
Cool.
So we did an hour. I was like dusting off some of my interview dust. Andrew was very awesome, though. He's and his work speaks for itself. But we're hopping on to the Tattoo Weekly after this, and we'll interview him again. It's bright and early there for him, so we appreciate him getting up early. Although if he gets up early anyways, then it's just like everything else.
Yeah, I caught
Are
that.
those your
and it
paintings
was
that you did
really
in the
good.
background?
Oh, yeah, these are all mine.
Oh, word. That's dope.
Could you pick up the camera and zoom in on some of them, or?
Yep.
Oh, crazy. James, do you know how to pin Andrew on
Yes,
Zoom?
yes. Thank you. I was just like staring at the paintings. Like,
Yeah.
so.
So some of the
Toilets.
Yeah.
Whoa.
so these are all older ones. All the newer ones are in the UK at the moment.
That's dope. Wow, check that out.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
What?
Mm.
So vibrant.
Wow, that looks
Thank
like my
you.
grandma.
Oh,
Like
good.
expression shit, man.
You've seen the garage. That's my domain. So.
Okay.
Oh, pup dog.
Cool.
Yeah, where
Thank you,
are
Andrew.
you? Where are you
Awesome.
in the world?
Oh, I'm in New Zealand.
Mm.
Nice. What's happening in New Zealand?
It's currently 4:30.
Oh,
Whoa.
good
AM?
Thank you
morning.
very
Yeah.
much for the
Yeah.
sacrifice of
Oh
sleep.
boy.
Yeah, no worries. I usually get up at this time, but I'm usually on my own, so it's like, yeah, it's weird talking to people.
Oh wow, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's cool. How long you been tattooing, man?
18 years now.
Nice. Good
Yeah. I'm kind
Were
of an
you
old
an
dude
artist?
now, I guess.
Were you were you an artist before you started tattooing, or was it was tattooing really kind of help you become more of a better artist?
Yeah. I was painting and drawing first, but I was working in a factory before I started tattooing. So tattooing sort of really gave me the I guess the daily practice at professional level art. You sort of have to push yourself. You can't just half finish something and chuck it in a drawer and forget about it for a year like you can with
Or
other stuff.
5.
Finishing work is a real I think mark of a professional. Like you have to get it done. So that's what really helped with the painting. You have to finish, even though I still have like a million unfinished paintings in the shed.
Yeah, of course. That's what's up. Cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, it
Nice
was.
spirit, by the way.
Yeah. No, meet everybody, Andrew. It's really, this is the gang, right? Everybody that comes: Amber, Spirit, Harriet, Elise, Stephen, and Gabe sometimes too. He's even here. So something that Andrew was talking about last week was that like you just even if it's for an hour, right? You make yourself work on your work. You make yourself work on a painting. Even if it's just for an hour, even if it's just for a short time, you're very accomplished, but it's a process, right? It's something that takes
even 10 minutes at a time. You just it's a thing that I struggled with a few years ago, just mad procrastination issues, and it was always it always seemed to be if I didn't have 3 hours or a day to work on a piece, I just wouldn't do the work, and then that would add up So I started doing just like, look, I'll just do 10 minutes and then go. And you always do more than 10 minutes, but that adds up. So it's sort of a choice between which one you want to start stacking on, you know, the downtime or the uptime. So you sort of I try to choose that uptime, you know. Even 5 minutes of uptime is, you know, over a year, that shit's going to add up, you know.
Yeah, I like the way you put it. You're like, you know, even if it's an hour a day, right? There's 365 days in a year, right? That's 365 hours you'll have spent painting or working on towards the you know, the creation of this goal, the realization of it. And so you know, not to give away the interview that's coming up, please check it out on Tattoo Now. You know, it's gonna be really cool. But you're showing at Saatchi Gallery in London. Is that right?
Yeah, that's already done. So
Okay.
we're looking for another. We're trying to line up another exhibition over there at the moment. So yeah, but no, that was a really cool show.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck with that. And
thank you.
So yeah, it's inspirational to, you know, it again, everybody kind of everybody in here has been sharing their, you know, their sort of their art story today. Just sort of organically emerged. Could you give us like 2 minutes about, like, you know, maybe how did you, like, you know, how did you find, you know, like, was it about art that like drew you to it? Like how did you?
Mine was mate. Well, I'd say the majority of it was escapism. You were in on the interview the other day. It was like I had quite a lot of operations as a kid. I owned some disabilities and spent a lot of time in hospital. So Mum used to bring me a lot of comic books, 2000 AD, which Judge Dredd, Slain, stuff like that. So I used to copy those. But yeah, I would always be drawing fantasy or sci-fi characters, and it was just a way to sort of escape, I guess. Yeah, that's what started getting me into it. And then Mum and Dad noticed that, so they got me a book by Boris Vallejo. If you're into sort of fantasy art, and he was like the big dude in the 80s and 90s, I guess. And then I found Frank Frazetta and some of the artists that did the 2000 AD, and I just took off with them and started emulating those. And then away I went, you know. And it's all self-taught. The only I did a paid for a course with Jeff Gogway about 12 years ago now, I think. Did the 3-day painting workshop with him. Yeah, if he ever does another one, big steal or borrow to get there. It's changed life. Yeah. So that's sort of how I developed this style, which is 3 colors and white. Just do everything with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was it's amazing. What is your palette then? If you could wouldn't mind divulging.
It's so alizarin crimson. I've switched that out for alizarin permanent because through Google I found out alizarin crimson isn't light fast. And either phthalo or Prussian blue, they're both sort of, you can use either of those, and transparent orange, which is the only Gamblin brand paints. They're based in Oregon. They're the only brand that does a transparent yellow or orange. Every other brand seems to be opaque or semi-opaque, and it doesn't work if they're not transparent. And any white, I use flake white replacement or something like that.
Flake white is a white that contains lead. Just for everybody, if you weren't familiar with it, and you use a replacement version, it doesn't have lead
I don't want the lead. I did a little like a self-taught online course through Schoolism, and they used flake white, so I've used it, and it's just really thick. I don't think the color difference as much. You can find a really, really thick white. It's like painting with semi-cold butter, I guess. It just sort of really stays peaked. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's been so cool to get a chance to talk to you, and thank you for sharing your work. And you know, we're actually gonna we're gonna talk a little bit about here we go. We're gonna talk a little bit about portraits, head study, just for a little bit. So if you feel free to hang out. I know you probably got to go in a little bit, but and that's for everybody, right? If you whenever you got to go, I just appreciate your time.
No, it's
And so
awesome. Thank you.
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks
Andrew. It's really
for
great.
being a part of this. Yeah, it was
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Very cool. So, all right. So, so we've been talking about, the head study, and we've been looking at this book by George Bridgman. And so I'm not sure if everybody's been reading it or not. There's some useful things in it, but on this chapter on heads, I really, there's some really kind of like offensive language, and there was
Yeah, there
some
is.
language in it that was like, it's
Yeah, I
terrible.
noticed.
This kind of like this sort of pseudo scientific like assumption about uh, sort of this false narrative about evolution and races and stuff. It's almost offhanded, and it's very it's very assumptive. It's like assuming a lot. And
Yeah.
so I didn't want to hide from it. I'm like, this is in our book. You know what I mean? And this is fairly like this is probably fairly held commonly held among like maybe not just white people. You know what I mean? It's maybe it may have been fairly commonly held by many, but it's not true. It's and it's I think it's a point of contention that we can disagree about with the author. But there's so many other great things in it, so many other things that are accurate and are true. It's been interesting. It's sort of like this idea like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
No.
But we got to remember that it's the baby that sullied the bathwater in the first place.
Yes.
And
Right.
it's terrible. I think there's like so not to make light of it and not to hide from it. It's right there. It's in black and white. It's so as you read it, read with a with a grain of salt, and and bring your own um bring your critical eye to it. Something else that in 100 years, the things that we talk about will be judged through a different lens as well. So it's kind of it'll be fascinating, if you could know like the way that things will the way that like notions and stuff will change. So anyway, I wanted to mention it, that it's in there. And
Thanks for mentioning it, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's cool of you. Because I definitely noticed it. But I took it with a grain of salt. I was like, oh well. This is why I study Black artists and try to disseminate that information out there. You know what I mean? I think
I think it is important. And so everybody's gonna have their you can bring what to the table, right? You can bring what you're interested in to the table, and that's gonna help the discourse, right? It's gonna help the conversation get wider. But anyway, so the things that I want to the things that I'd like to highlight in this chapter particularly. So let me see if I can share it. Right. All right. So the geometry, right? And so this idea, so he's got like a pile of boxes, masses of the head. There's some good things in here that you can really start to take away from it. But again, beginning with boxes, right? This was hopefully something that you were starting to see. And so if you're developing, like your own character, you're starting to develop, or if you're actually looking at something in life, or you're trying to figure out like how can you, sort of achieve this particular, like, when we're drawing the gestures, it's like, oh, how does this work? How can we sort of see it accurately? These sort of basic sorts of shapes and notions, I think, can be really, really useful. So thinking about the head as having planes, as having like sort of a box-like sort of characteristic can be very useful. So I think, and there is something useful in some of the language that Bridgman talks about, and that's like sort of drawing the oval for the head, the sort of rounded shape is like people do it. People have been doing it for a long time, but the eye can't focus on, at any point on the roundedness of that, that oval or that, the egg shape, I guess. Whereas with the corners of a box, you can really start to, get a lot more accurate as far as placements. You can start to sort of, you can have better guesstimates about where things would sort of fall. And so that's the idea. And then something that I always took away from drawing class was that it's a lot easier to add, roundedness, right, to a sharp edge, right? You can always round off a corner, but it's hard to bring structure to that roundedness, right? If it's all round and soft already, it can be difficult to discern like the planes, right? Because then we can clearly see, just look at the screen right now. Look at the gallery view. You can see the front of the face, there's side of the face, top, bottom. There are planes, right, that exist in space. And so having this notion, I think, can be really useful. So so I think that like it is kind of like, it's such a huge subject, how to work with heads. I think what I would like to do is probably start off with this notion of proportion, right? There's a sort of generalized proportion that we can often find in many faces, and so I'm going to jump. Let me see. I'm going to stop sharing because we all have the book, so we can all see it. Let me see if I can share my iPad with you real quick. I'm getting better at this. All right. Okay. So, all right. Like, so here's the sort of the notion, right? That we have, we can have like a sort of, there's the top of the head, right? So a little bit more, but so top of the forehead, the prefrontal eminence, right? The brow ridge, just under the nose, and then the chin, right? If we think about these at these different, this relationship, canopy of the chin kind of coming from here, top of the head here. You can find that like people will deviate slightly from these proportions, but they're oftentimes you're going to find, so hairline. Pen is this? What am I using? Right. Brow, nose, chin. And so let me just lower this opacity down slightly. And okay. So oftentimes what I like to do, I like to start here with the brow, right? And there's a, let's try to draw like in a profile. There's a bit of anatomy here called the glabella, right? So there is an angle for the nose, right? The bottom of the nose here is what this proportion refers to, right? And then the chin itself. So chin is called the mental protuberance. That's that's the name for your chin bone. Usually this sort of angle here where lip, right? So the upper, your upper lip usually has a downward facing plane, and then the lower lip sort of somewhat rounded, but again, sort of thinking about it in terms of blocks, right? Here, and then the roundness of the cranium, right? So the mass of the cranium, about halfway, usually usually you can sort of measure it. This height is, there's going to be a relationship this height overall the head will correspond. It can either be very similar or maybe there's going to be some difference, right? It's usually going to be like a little bit wider, right? But there's going to be a correspondence here proportionally to the width, right? If we're thinking about profile. About halfway, right, is going to be, this is where the ear is going to land, right? Half of this overall height, let me get rid of this guy here. Half of this overall height is going to be eye line, right? It's where the eye is going to sit. There's usually like a few nice triangles. So having a couple of sort of planes that you start to explore will help you, I think, develop your head steady. Let me move this over. Falling off the page. So mental protuberance, here's here in the front, that's the chin. The occipital protuberance is this part right here. This is the zygomatic arch, which is your cheekbone, right? The zygomatic arch is your cheekbone, and it forms the lower portion of the orbits. That's your orbital socket. So, where does the eye sit, right? The eye is a sphere, and it's surrounded, it's encased by, of course, the brow ridge. And then the zygomatic bone is what sort of forms the lower part. And so the eyelid itself, it wraps around the sphere of the eye. Forgive me for the ill proportions here, right? The nostril, we've got the nostril is like a wing, right? There's usually, so there's the front of the nose here, the ball of the nose, the wing of the nostril. You can see in a skull, right? There's, the nose, the nostril bone here, it sort of ends here, and then this is all like cartilaginous and fat. So there's usually some sort of little bump, like right about there on almost everybody. There's some kind of like, just a little bit of bone that's the bone real close to the surface. Yeah. So the jaw, right? Mandible, it inserts here just in front of the ear, right? So wherever the ear is, angle of the jaw, right? And then, right? Something else that I think is really useful in terms of drawing the, the head, finding where the, the clavicle is, or the neck. So, and one of the muscles that is, is really sort of, I think, crucial for drawing any kind of like, head study here, is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. I love that name. I just love that name so much. So
say it again.
Sternocleidomastoid. So here's how it works. The muscle inserts here to the sternum, and then also on the clavicle or the collarbone, and then it originates here. I don't know if it's maybe originates. Forgive me if that's inaccurate, but here at the mastoid muscle, it's a little bump on your skull, kind of just behind your ear. And so it's the thick neck muscle. So everybody, real quick, if you turn your head from side to side, I just turn it just side to side. Those are your sternocleidomastoid muscles, right? It's the big muscle here on the side of the neck. So when you're drawing a neck, I think sort of thinking about it in terms of this, muscles, throat in the middle, sternocleidomastoid muscles on the sides, and then trapezius. It's really kind of the other big muscle that you're going to see on the, kind of helps you with this sort of movement. There's so many more, right? There's so many more, but as far as like these are the, the ones that can be really, I think, sort of the first ones to go for. Now, like, I just sort of sketched this out. I imagined it. It's like from my memory, roughly, and it's inaccurate, like crazy. It's crazy inaccurate. But I think if you can start to think about these proportions, and then you get into, you start like looking at an actual body. It's not that they have to conform to these, it's just that this is a starting point. And you can see, like, how different, like how different somebody is. What is the angle that their face takes, right? What are the angles, right? Start doing some proportionate comparison, right? The overall height, right? And then you compare that to the width, right? From the nose to the occipital protuberance, from the back of the head to the front. Start in profile. I think that's a good way to start. You're only drawing one side of it. When you draw the face, head on, there's going to be a symmetry that's just subtle. There'll be subtle sort of differences on either side, right? I believe that like a likeness that you'll achieve is going to emerge out of, the sort of the careful measuring and the, sort of the careful observations that you're going to do. But all the careful observations in the world, eventually you're going to have to, gesture, right? Eventually you have to stop doing that and you have to sort of go for some kind of a, a gesture that like starts to help, like sort of realize what it is you're looking at. So,
You touch
thinking
that
about
around stuff.
some of these really simple simple observations, good place to start. So now, like if we were to get rid of that stuff, now if like we were to take that same notion of the of the locations, and we think about like the box again, thinking about our box. Now if we start to kind of think about like, all right, so hairline here, maybe brow ridge, nose, and put the chin, right? So it'll fit inside the box. Now we could sort of start to sketch across, sort of find this. Start to find this shape of the head itself. It's not going to fill up the cube exactly, right? There's going to be those corners that don't quite get. But like I said, about halfway through there, so we're going to find that ear shape, nose. Again, sort of thinking about it in terms of planes. You can start to get the idea, right? That you can really get, start to develop some perspective, right? You can start to develop, if you use this method a little bit and you start to become more comfortable with it, it's very, very likely that you'll be able to sort of figure your way out of like a jam, right? That's the hope, right? That some of this will help you out of a jam one day, right? I think my proportions are off. So I got a kind of a wonky looking head here, but maybe I'll try just a little bit. Squeeze it in just a little bit more. Yeah. Right, something like that. About let's see, it's a little closer to the nose than to the chin. Closer to where the mouth is going to sit. Usually the corners of the mouth, they correspond to where the iris and the eyeball are going to be at. Again, I kind of like to sort of think about like, the iris and the eyeball, the iris and the pupil, and the eyelashes, right, or the lid as all kind of like one shape, right? We see like usually a relationship to the corners of the mouth. The lips are like wings, right? There's like a wing sort of shape to the upper lip, and there's the lower. So anyway, that. Yeah, that. Let's get rid of some of that. There it is. That's a little better. Need a reference probably, right? But and then neck, a little bit extreme there. A little bit of neck, probably neck over there, something. Sternum. So there's this generic figure, right? There's my generic figure. So this is essentially what we were covering, you know, in the chapter on Bridgman. And I think, you know, these are conceptual. And this is something that I think you can start to, you know, hopefully can start to help you in your understanding, right? As you're approaching this really complicated subject that is, you know, drawing ahead, you can start to understand, like, you can relate your point of view to what it is you're seeing, right? In this case, right, I'm thinking that my eye level, or go back to the beginning of our conversation, that my eye level is like at eye level of this figure, right? And then so all of the perspective is going, you know, like, you know, to those points along that. That's just this assumption, right? But if you start to, you know, think about boxes, draw those, and then draw the, stop my sharing. That's enough of that. Draw your boxes, draw your, you know, start practicing the anatomical bits, practice noses, practice mouths, practice eyeballs. Again, when you actually come upon a subject that you wish to draw, you're going to have experience, and you're also going to know, you know, you're going to know what you're looking for. You're going to know the certain points, right? The corners of the eyes, and, you know, the edge, right? Let's see, the edge, right, where the you know, the front of the face becomes the side. This way, the side, right? There's a certain point. It's rounded, right? But it's like there's a certain point where the, you know, the front of the face becomes the, you know, becomes the side of the head, and those are the key points to look for, right? That's where you can start the shading. That's where you can start to, like, you know, start to find the perspective in it. So I hope that was useful. I hope that was helpful. That's basically what, you know, I hope you take away from this chapter on Bridgman, you know, is that, like, that this person is fallible, not always right. We're learning from this person, but also, you know, I think there's a lot you can learn sometimes. So anyway, yeah, any questions, any thoughts?
I think that my thoughts are, I think once again coming from, oh, hello. But I think coming from my perspective of 3D, can I share my screen one more time?
Of course you can. I'd love to see that. I can
show you what I'm talking about. Screen. Don't look at my messy background. Wait, here it is. Okay. So this is a character that I'm doing for my final for class. And I guess I just wanted to show you over here how, like, head studies and stuff overlap with what I'm doing right now, which is I want to show you what it looks like when I'm working, which is this is usually what I'm working with. So I work with all of these points here, and a lot of people don't exactly know what they're looking at when I show them this. So I color coded some bits of this just to show you how I constructed this. So basically my teacher calls this the Incredibles mask. So basically at each of these zones, there are these points called 5-point junctions. This is where 5 edges come together. You can't really see that one because it's covered up by his eyebrow, but there are where the different planes come together. This is where, like, animation would come together for emotions. So you have to construct the face very anatomically so that the face will move correctly. So looking at your breakdown of the face, there's always this line here at the brow. There's always, like, plane changes where, like, the cheek and the chin and the the mouth all come together. There's one in here also that I didn't mark, but you can also see it at the side as well. There's one behind his ear here where the head, the eye, and the cheek all come together. So learning the face geometrically, I wasn't great at anatomy, but like I'm a visual learner. So visually being able to break down the face into geometric patterns is extremely important for me trying to get through these types of projects. I just kind of want to show the overlap of kind of what you were talking about and what I'm doing, even though they're two different kind of mediums. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's, so I think that's hopefully what we're getting to here is that, like, you know, there is a lot of different types of practices, right? Even if we're sketching like the gesture, or if we're working in 3D modeling, you're going to have to figure out like how you bring it all together. And that's, I I heard somebody say this, so I'll repeat it, but I think it's wonderful. Oh yeah, Andrew said it. Yeah, Andrew said it just the other day, right? It's Sailor Moses. He's an old tattooer. He said, if you make a mistake long enough, right, people call it your style. so, so I think this is the thing that we're always going to like sort of learn. It's like, we're going to have to keep working. We're going to have to keep like sort of discovering new things, and keep experimenting. But of course, we're going to like run up into challenges. We're going to like, I think we're going to experience, our own sorts of hardships and things. It's always going to be subjective, but again, sort of seeing what you all, do with this information, seeing all of your projects that are so interesting. I don't know. It's what it helps keep me inspired, right? So I just want to thank everybody again so much for coming today and for drawing along. The group is growing, and it's wonderful to see. So I really hope that everybody comes back again next week. And next week, I think we should continue with this. The head is so complicated. I'd love it if we could eventually. I'm not going to make us do it right now, but I'd love it if we could do a self-portrait. I think doing a self-portrait could be so fun. Who's down to do it? Self-portraits, everybody?
I'm down.
Yeah, cool.
It wouldn't be the
So
first
I'll be held
time I ever had
hostage.
to-
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a real challenge, you know what I mean? And so I think you're gonna have to take all of the information that that you've gotten so far, kind of really blend it together into into something that's unified. But I think we'll build up to that a little bit more. We'll probably talk about value next week. So talking about value a little bit more, exploring that. It's a subject we keep coming back to. Why? It's very important. It's just really important. And I mean, I always use a refresher on it myself. It's it's just constant upkeep, right? So we'll talk about value. We'll keep working on portraits. Keep working on head studies. So practice a few. Work in the Bridgman book. I think there's still some good things there, but practice some of that. Try to draw from life, and then if you can, we're going to try to work up into a head study of self-portrait. I think that's going to be a goal that we're going to be working towards. So, but we'll do that really soon. Let's do some quick sign-offs, and then we'll call it a day for today. So, Harriet, can we start with you, please?
I'm really loud here, so I don't think I
Okay.
should sign off. We got a lot of stuff going on in the background. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No,
I'm
thank you for coming.
all the end of this. I'm sorry. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Elise, could you give us a little bit of information about you? Where can we find you?
Hello, I'm Elise Morrow. I'm a 3D modeling artist, and you can find me at Technodreaming on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Mhm.
Amber, get some sign off for you.
Okay, hello, I'm Amber Morgaine. I'm a tattoo artist from Mays Landing, New Jersey. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under Amber Morgaine. And you can find me right here every Monday. I do not miss a class.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you've been excellent, and thank you so much again for coming. And thanks, Amber. Great work this week.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Cool. Spirit, where are you from?
Hey,
Who
what's
are
up,
you?
guys? I am from Columbia, South Carolina. I have a tattoo artist, been tattooing in the game about 14 years now. It is my absolute love and passion. You guys can find me on Instagram at Tattoos by Spirit, everything spelled correctly. Look forward to doing a lot of really, really awesome work throughout all the years and um, the hundreds of thousands of years that we will work together and build our amazing skills together.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was well, it's like I just want to reflect on just, such an amazing experience today. But really, I got so much out of what everybody brought, the stories we told, and then of course like the presentations that everybody did as well. And then just sharing your artwork. It was like I'm honored, like profoundly honored. And then also I'm encouraged myself. I want to keep working hard. And so thank you all for coming. I'm James Wisdom. This has been Drawing for Tattooers. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Tattooing Wisdom. Oh yeah, check out my website, tattooingwisdom.com. And if you enjoyed this show, make sure to hit the like and be sure to subscribe to Reinventing the Tattoo. All right, so happy drawing, everybody, right? And we'll see you next stream. All right.